Welcome to the Resilient Artist Podcast, your go-to space for wellness and success strategies tailored for musicians. Join us each week as we explore tips, tools, and stories to help you thrive in your music career while staying balanced and inspired. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to the Resilient Artist Podcast. I'm your co-host, Crystal McGrath.
And I'm Rachel. Today we're getting real about something every independent artist faces, and that is the emotional highs and lows of this journey.
Totally. One day you're just on top of the world and celebrating everything you've done, and the next day you've just completely crashed and you're just questioning everything you're doing. Sound familiar? Because I've been there.
Yeah, we all have. And you're not alone. We're here to break down why this happens and how to manage the roller coaster ride of being an artist. So let's start with why being an independent artist feels like such an emotional roller coaster. And so many people feel, I think, when they're on this emotional roller coaster that they are alone. So this is why we at the Artist Wellness Collective want to talk about stuff like this and invite you to join the community, because you're not in this alone. Everyone is feeling this, right? So some of the things with the industry, why it seems like such an emotional roller coaster, is because there's so much passion in this business. It's a high emotional investment. You're pouring your heart and your soul into what you're doing, and it sometimes comes with rejection and uncertainty. There is no guarantees in the music industry. And I think it's so important to remember that's why you have to have a real love for it. You have to have so much of a love for it that even if your music doesn't go anywhere, your career doesn't take off, you're okay with that. And you still feel like you've got so much love for the music. People who are listening are seeing the benefits and love you for it. There's a lot of financial stress balancing income from music versus side jobs. You might want to do music full time, but maybe that's just not financially lucrative in this moment. And that can cause a lot of stress. You're going to a job maybe that you don't really like every day because your heart is in your music. And that can be a lot. And then we get into the comparison trap. Maybe you see another artist who is doing what you want to be doing. They've now, made the successful step into the touring, and they've got out a couple of great albums, and they're getting that notoriety that you wish you had. And that can be really tough, and it can be really emotional stressing. Highs of success. Not many people think about the emotional strain that success actually can put on people as well. Getting streams, gigs, recognitions, the high times versus the low times. 1 minute you're getting all the recognition and the next minute you're not, or vice versa. So there can be a lot of highs and lows. So Crystal, what is one of the emotional lows that you've experienced as an artist, and how did you navigate that?
How will I just pick one? I think this is something that, comes and goes all the time. But I will say having a supportive community is something that really helps. So if I'm feeling down or something, maybe I didn't get a grant that I spent, 50 hours preparing for, and I got no, not this time. That feels pretty gross. It kind of feels like, oh, I just wasted all this time, blah, 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 blah. But really, I actually just built a marketing plan, and I built, a wonderful vision of myself on this grant application that I can now take and propel and use forward to find another way to make this project happen, which I always do. There's always a way to make something happen if you want it bad enough. And I think that's really important to note. But yeah, just having a really supportive community around you to remind you, like, it's okay, don't worry, like there's going to be another opportunity, there's going to be another chance. People to reinforce those positive affirmations in your head is so important, as opposed to somebody like a family member maybe that doesn't believe in you and they say, see, I told you, like, why are you wasting your time doing that? Like, stay away from those people. Even if it's your mom, like, just don't share this information with them. Like, it's really important to comfort and lean into the people that support you. And then there's tons more tools that I can share with you here. We need to celebrate the wins, big and small. So, we talk about that big goal that we're all striving for, but we have to remember there's so many little tiny goals that take us to that ultimate goal. So celebrate every tiny little win that you achieve, because they matter and they're important. And then your success does not define who you are as a human. That's something really important to remember too, because a lot of times we can pinpoint, oh, if I'm not successful, then I'm not enough. I'm not good. Well, what is success? And then no, also that success changes all the time. So success is not stagnant. It's not, this is my version of success today, and it's going to be the same in 10 years because my version of success today is very different than my version of success 10 years ago or 20 years ago. If I was living out what I thought was successful when 20 years ago, then I would be in a very different life. It would be very different. And so I'm not there, and that's okay because I redefined what success is to me. And I think that's really important to do is know that success can change and define it to where you are in your life because the circumstances change, life changes, all the things. So just really pay attention, ask yourself that question today, what is success to me today? And really zone in on what that looks like and maybe reflect back to, 5 years ago, 10 years ago on what you thought success looked like then and kind of compare them and just look, okay, well, I see these things have happened in my life and this shifted, that shifted, this changed, or I hit all my success markers. Great. So how can I change them? It's just a good little exercise that I always just check in and see what is success for me today. And that really helps you set your goals and celebrate them. And then really, just like Rachel was saying, we've built the supportive community for people. So we are your support system. We're here for you. If you don't have this in your friends and family, we've got you. So join the Facebook group, join collectives, come to meetings, come to events. And if that doesn't work for you, create and build your own support system. Find people that are like you. Go to networking events and meet people that are doing similar things to you or at the similar level or whatever that looks like. But make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that uplift you. And then just reminding yourself that, again, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So we are in it for the long haul. So you don't have to do everything this year, and that's okay. If you have big goals, big dreams, know that it takes time. And again, to celebrate the small things on the way to those things. Resilience, emotional resilience is so important in this industry too, especially on the lows. When that roller coaster is going down, you're going to need your resilience to go up because it is challenging on the low days to stay motivated and stay committed to your passion, committed to your goals. It's very important to practice resilient tools when you are in a positive mindset so that when you hit the lows, you have the tools in your pocket to pull out and access immediately. Really important. And then take breaks. Of course, breaks are so important. Rest. Don't feel like you have to do everything in one day. Something that I find really important is I'll have a to-do list like 3 pages long, but what are the top 3 things that I want to get done today? What's going to make this day feel successful for me today? Is it accomplishing everything on my list? Well, probably, but that's not realistic. So let's redefine success and choose 3 things you want to do and get those things done. And then rest. Rest. Take a break. Rest. So important.
That's right. So easy to let rejections really just define you or take them very personally. I know for me, I've often take rejections really personally. So you really have to start to think, hey, this isn't a personal blow, right? So starting to separate your identity from your career, from those rejections, and then just focus on the stuff that's important to you. Again, drop back into gratitude, and everything will ultimately change for you in a positive direction.
Do you have a tool that you like to do to stay motivated when you're in those low moments where it kind of feels like, oh, I don't want to do today? What do you do to like get out of that funk?
Yeah, I really remind myself of the big picture goals and
Yeah.
that, is me sitting around watching TV and just vegging out and kind of, pretending that everything will be fine later. Is that something that I want to do? Is that going to get me to where I want to go? Or am I going to get up and say, hey, let's do this? Again, there's a difference between the time where you need to rest. I think that's what you
Mhm.
have to think about, right? Is go, okay, am I tired and want to just sit here and do nothing because I actually need the rest? And I think if you think, yeah, I've been working hard, I've had a busy day. Yes, I do need a break. I just need to take a break. Or are you avoiding something that's hard? Are you avoiding something that's going to push you out of your comfort zone? Are you avoiding the hard things? And if that's the case, you kind of just got to get up. Now, Mel Robbins years ago, she talked about, I think it was that 5 second countdown, right? So
Yeah.
she said, if there's something that you don't want to do or you don't want to get up, just count to 5 and then go. Right? Just
Yeah.
don't let yourself sit in it. Just, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's go. And I think that's what I have to do sometimes is you literally have to kick your own butt and say, all right, let's just get this done. Because once it's done, that rest is going to feel even better. So let's talk about some real strategies that help musicians actually manage these emotions. Because, like we said, this isn't always easy. And a lot of these strategies you're probably already doing, especially if you've listened to some previous podcasts, you'll start to notice that a lot of the strategies to manage the mind, manage your emotions, successful steps to take in your career, they're often very similar. And so, what's cool about that is once you start getting the habits of doing some of these strategies, so many amazing things will start to come into play and come and fall into place for you. So, we go back to journaling. We go back to journaling and reflection. Taking that time to process the emotions instead of bottling them up is so key. Anger, for example, is stored in the liver. And that's the physical part, and then all of a sudden you start to shut down, or maybe you start having liver issues because you haven't managed or released your anger. Our emotions can detrimentally affect our physical body, so getting them out on paper and just letting the paper take that emotion from you. And sometimes it's just a good way to just work through that emotion. And all of a sudden, what you were angry or frustrated about doesn't seem so bad when you put pen to paper. Meditation and mindfulness. Again, this is my number one, is just that yoga breath. I always remind myself, because I am a yoga instructor and because I teach this, I always want to practice what I preach, that when I get frustrated, I just have to say, just breathe. Just breathe, get grounded, get back into the present moment, because it's usually when we're focusing too much on the past or the future that we start, getting thrown off balance. So that when we get back into that present moment, which is really the only moment any of us really have, right? When we get back to that present moment, it just gets us back, pulls us back into reality, and then we can start realizing that things aren't as bad as we're making them out to be. Movement and exercise, which we've talked about in previous podcast episodes, so important to reduce stress and boost your energy. Even therapy and coaching, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a paid coach, or even actually a therapist, getting that professional support wherever you need it is extremely important. And I think, maybe back in the day, hiring a therapist kind of had this weird stigma around it, but I just don't know that it does anymore. I think it's so important to have a coach, have a therapist, and all they are is really just think about it as, you just get to work through things with a third party. That's it. It's just an opportunity that you can kind of talk things out if you need that extra support. And again, community is so important. We're social animals. Human beings are social animals. We are meant to support each other. We are meant to not be isolated, and to sometimes reaching out for that help and asking for that help, we understand, can be hard. That's why it's so important to have that solidified support system in place for when times get tough. Financial planning, really important. Finances are part of the wellness wheel. This is so important. It is part of wellness that, if you're constantly under financial stress, it can be really hard, and it can actually bring down your creative capacity. So focus on financial planning, get the finances right. It will help ease the stress and give you a lot more creative freedom. And then really focus on your path. Focus on your path rather than obsessing about what other people are doing, releasing that comparative process, really focusing on you and where you're headed is key.
Totally. I find, when I journal, it just changes my world. And I don't do this all the time and every day. I'll preach it, but to be real, like I forget sometimes. So I love talking about this right now because I'm like, yeah, I remember when I used to journal often, just get all my thoughts out. It cleared my head and it allowed more space for new ideas to come. It allowed me to feel more in control of what I'm doing. Journaling is a great tool, and it's really helped me out in a lot of times. And I think sometimes when we're in good spaces, we forget to use our tools because we're like, oh, everything's good. And it's when we're in the darker, lower spaces that we're like, oh my gosh, I need a tool. I need to fix this. I don't know what to do. But it's that art of practicing when you're in a good space. It really helps keep you out of that low space when you're practicing these things and using these tools in the good space. It'll help you not fall so low in the future instead of being really low and scrambling for a light.
Absolutely. So what tool do you use to bring you out of that low space, Crystal? If you've ever, I'm sure you've
Mm,
experienced it like everybody has. What is the one thing that you kind
yeah.
of do to snap yourself out of that?
Yeah, meditation I find is a really good tool. All these tools that we're talking about, I'll use all implement them all. But honestly, the quickest fix I find for me is a meditation, like a 5, 10 minute meditation, just to shift my mindset. Especially sometimes I have a really hard time focusing, and I'll do like a hypnotherapy focus 9 minute meditation. And that allows me to visualize what I need to get done or visualize how I need to feel and take me out of whatever kind of slump I'm in, and allow me to be productive and kind of the best version of myself, whatever that looks like in that day. But all the tools, all of them, pick whichever one works for you, right? Like there's just so many. And it's so cool that we get to share all these tools because it's not one size fits all. I think everyone can kind of pull something different and something will work better for you than someone else. So just to have an array of things that you can choose from. So we'd love to hear, what works best for you. If you're listening to this podcast now, like share with us what are your go-to tools for success, because everyone has a different story and we love hearing what other people have to say. And eventually we'd love to be able to share those stories on this podcast. So more people can be inspired by others as well. Yes, because we're on this emotional roller coaster, highs and lows. They are so normal. And we just need to chat about how we handle them, because this will determine how you handle your lows and how you thrive on your highs.
That's right. And you don't have to ride the roller coaster alone. Like we said, there's communities out there, there's support systems out there. So, really important to just build resilience, find that support system, and take care of your mental health.
If you're looking for more tools to navigate your journey, please check out our book, The Resilient Artist. You can find it on Amazon or head on over to our website, artistwellnesscollective.com, and you will find the online digital copy as well there.
That's right. And find us on social. Send us messages. We would love to know, what are your biggest emotional challenges that you face as an artist? And like Crystal said, what are some of your best tools that you can share with other artists? So until next time, get off that emotional roller coaster and just breathe.
Thanks for tuning in to the Resilient Artist Podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow, like, and share this podcast with your fellow musicians. Your support helps us grow and reach more artists just like you. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and leave us a review to let us know what you think. Ready to take your wellness journey to the next level? Join the Artist Wellness Collective at www.artistwellnesscollective.com for more resources, community, and support designed to help musicians thrive. Until next time, keep creating and living your best artistic life.